Welcome to this episode of Learning Fusion. In today's episode, we're going to be covering working with vectors within Fusion. So let's roll this intro and let's get into it.
We're learning Fusion together. We'll learn 2D stuff and 3D stuff and particle stuff and compositing stuff, deep pixel stuff and tracking stuff, but not other stuff, but some other cool stuff, because we're learning Fusion together.
So within Fusion, we have the ability to use vector graphics. And this is using the shapes ecosystem within Fusion. And what I mean by the shapes ecosystem is if we go up to our little effects tab and we go down to our shape tools, you notice we have all these nodes that have S Boolean, S B-spline, S change color, S duplicate, and so on. So any of these nodes that have this little s in front of it are part of the shape ecosystem within Fusion. And what the shape ecosystem is vector-based graphics. So anything we use within here is going to be creating vector graphics. But to be able to use this, there's a few things we need to remember. One, we can't just use these on any little node here. So for example, if I've got a background here and I want to bring in say an ellipse, I cannot use this ellipse as a mask or a regular shape to merge in anywhere. So even if I bring a merge in, you notice I can't merge this ellipse in. And that's because these are vector graphics and it needs to be rendered out properly prior to plugging back into our little Fusion nodes here. And to be able to do that, we need the S render. So if I grab an S render and I take this, now you can see I can plug that into the little effects mask on our background. I can even plug it into our little merge system here. And if I plug this ellipse in, you can see we now have an ellipse. So same goes to with our background. If I go to our background, you notice it just used that ellipse as a mask. So let's delete all this and let's jump into our little vector graphics system here. So if you notice, we have tons of different shapes. So we have this ellipse, but before we jump to our other shapes, let's go ahead and grab this S merge, because this S merge is what we use to merge all of our different shapes together. In this S merge, we can just go out to our little S render there. And again, I'm not going to be going over individual node stuff, but I do have individual breakdowns for every single one of these nodes that covers in detail exactly what our little settings in our inspector does for each node. So back to our S merge. If we look at our S merge, I can go ahead and plug in our little ellipse there, and we've got an ellipse. And most of our shapes operate pretty much the same as our little splines did in our regular Fusion stuff when we're using these splines. They're a little different, but basically the same. So if I wanted to change this, I could. I can uncheck that as a solid, and I can make this just a border. And again, if we notice, this is all vector-based stuff. So if I zoom in here, you notice it's super sexy and super clean, but just know once we go to our render node and it's changing it from a vector back into just regular graphics, we are going to get that. So if I look at our S render and zoom in, notice we are now getting that aliasing back in there. It's not a clean, sexy vector anymore. But back to our ellipse. So again, we can change the style however we want. We can change the length. And we can change our position there. We can even animate this if we want. So I could say keyframe our position, go to the end, and crank our position up. So now if I play, we've got a little animation of a little thing moving around there using vectors. And one good thing though is this is much faster than creating just organic shapes using this and backgrounds and changing your colors. This vector system or the shape system within Fusion is going to be much faster and much lighter on your RAM. So additionally, we can go to our style. We can change our color if we want. So we can make it a nice little crazy bright greenish thing if we want. There we go. Nice green, animated, spinning. So we've got plenty other shapes. So we've also got text, so we can use text here, and I can merge our text into our little merge. If I go to our text, I can type in, I don't know, spin. There we go. So now we are spinning. And I can go to our layout here, and I can select that circle, and I can change our rotation on the little Z and put our spin there in the middle. Let's go to our text, and let's change this text color. I don't know, a bright orange. It will increase our size a little bit there. There we go. And again, we can animate this as well. So if I keyframe that, go to the end, and change it so it's spinning with our little animation there. Now if I look, we've got our circle and our spin, both in vector graphics, spinning. It's great, lovely. And again, there are a whole bunch of other shapes. So like we've got the star here, so we can even use a star. We can bring that in. And on our star, we can change how many points we have. We can change our depth there. And we can even change our scale. So it's a little smaller. Let's go ahead and change our color here to the same color as our little green. So there we go. And again, I can animate the spin on this. So if I go back, keyframe, go to the end. There we go. We've got a little spinning thing, spinning. Now there's also other nodes. We've got this Boolean node, which is different than our regular channel Boolean node. This is basically anything we need to Boolean out shapes within our little vector system here. So for example, say I wanted to punch a hole or something in here, I could. So I could use this n-gon, and say we wanted to n-gon, and we could change the size there, and we wanted to punch an n-gon hole in there. How we do that is we'd use the Boolean node, and we could bring our little star in. And there's one thing you're going to notice when we do this, our colors are going to change. So, but we can bring on our little n-gon there, plug that back in. And on our Boolean node, we can just say subtract, and we just subtracted that out. But you notice our little changed shape here is no longer the color that we had on here, even though our style color is the same. I can even go to our n-gon and change that style color to be green as well. But this is staying white. That's because on our Boolean node, or our shape Boolean node, we have to tell it what color we want that to be. So now we can go to this style, pick that color again. So now it's green with a punch in the middle. And there we go. And we're going to have to animate our little n-gon so it spins as well. So we can go here, go to the end. Let's just say 360. And there we go. We've got our little animation spinning. And the same goes with any other shape that you have here. As you notice, we have rectangle. So we can create rectangles. We already use that star there. But we also have our polygon here. So our polygon operates just like any other polygon node. So we can just click and create a shape if we want. So there we got a shape. We can make it solid or not, create borders, and that's the polygon, and it's using vectors to create that shape. Go ahead and delete that. Now we do also have other nodes that we can manipulate stuff with. So say this change color here. If we go ahead and input that after our Boolean node, you notice it just changed the color or the style. Sorry, it's called the change style, but basically it's to change color. So anything that's prior to that is going to change everything. So we can select this and say change your color to a bright purple. And there we go. We've got a new color. And say we want to do the same thing to our spin. We could either go to our text and change our color, or we can add a change style, or we could add a change style after our merge and change the color of everything if we wanted to. And we've also got other nodes like this duplicate node. So if I go ahead and place our S duplicate node down there, and let's look at our render. I can tell it how many copies I want. And of course, we're not going to see anything, but I can offset and it's going to create copies. You notice it's just moving wherever we tell it to move. I can offset the size, so our size changes. 0.5, tab 0.5, there we go. Let's actually give it 5 copies, so we've got more. And there we go. We've got all of our little animations going with a duplicated stuff. Now, additionally, this is where we would do things like jitter. Now, before we get there, what I would want to do is I would want to move this over. So we do have other nodes like the S transform. So this will transform our shapes. So I can change the location on the X, the Y. I can also change the overall size and the rotation and the pivot location. So let's just move that over so it's all on screen so we can see all of our little duplicates here. And if I want to change that size so it's not quite so big, there we go. It's smaller. And let's go ahead and move this over a little more. If we go back to our duplicate, we also have this jitter here. So we can technically come in here and randomize our jitter. So we can change the time offset. So it's changing different times on each one. We can change our X offset, our Y. So it's just random. I can go here and make a whole bunch of copies. And there we go. We got a bunch of random shapes using the S duplicate node. And this is the only one we can really use this jitter and randomize stuff, because we've got another node that actually has jitter, but it actually jitters the vector itself, not the entire shape. Let me explain when I get there. So let's go ahead and get rid of this duplicate node. Let's put this back in the middle. Let's change this size to 0.4 to 0.4. So we've got a smaller shape there. So there we go, smaller shape. And for this one, I'm going to use the grid. And what the grid is the S grid is going to let you place these on grids. So there we go. We've got a grid system with all of our shapes. And up here, we can just tell it how many cells we want on the X, the Y, and the Z. And if I wanted that to fit in there a little more perfect, I could just change my size, 0.347. And there we go. They're somewhat fitting in there. And then of course I can change my offsets so it fits better. So there we go. We've got our little S grid doing a grid system of all of our shapes. And if you notice, it's just as fast as it is with one shape, and this is because it's all vectors and it's just using this instancing on the grids. So we do have this independent S jitter node here. So if I go ahead and plug this in and we look at what's happening, and let's change our size back up to regular, and we look at our S jitter, we've got a few modes here. In general, we can jitter or offset our entire shape. If you notice, our entire shape is jittering. That means each independent little shape. So our circle, our little star, each text is all jittering. So if you notice, that's offsetting. It's not jittering the entire thing or creating copies. It's just jittering all of our graphics together. So I can do the same thing on the Y. I can do the same thing on the X in the Y shape or the rotation of it. Now, if I select this random jitter, it's just going to randomly jitter stuff. If I jitter my points, you notice it's jittering our actual vector. I can do that on the X and the Y and kind of pull that vector apart. And again, if I play it, it's still animated. It's kind of crazy, but it's still fast because it's all vectors. Now, if that's all you needed to do is just create a vector, you could just go from your render to your media out, and it's going to play within your little edit page there. Or we can go from our render to add it to different stuff. So say we have a background and a merge. We can go from our render to our merge, and then our merge to our little media out there. If we look, we've got our little vector spinning. So that is the shape system working with vectors within Fusion. I will see you guys in the next episode.